Hello, everybody. Welcome to Metagames Community Gatherings. We have Vanessa, Existential Summer, Peth, Miss Bulik here listening today live to our guest that will be in this case Magenta and Victor. I know our first guest will be Magenta that will talk to us about Bloom Network. So let's give us a warm welcome to her. Welcome, Hinta. How are you? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's nice to see you guys again. It's been a minute. I'm sad I didn't make it to MetaFest. It seems like that went really, really well, and I know you guys put many years of thought into that. So congratulations on doing it and doing it in such a cool place. And yeah, I'm excited for you guys to continue that. Let's see. Update from Bloom. I know Jose was just asking as well about how to connect some of the Eco Village projects that you're visiting. Where is the best place for me to put a link in a chat channel for you guys?
I
The
think that
video
today will
chat.
be.
Oh, now
Oh,
it's in the
there is
video
a
chat,
video
right?
chat. How do I find that?
In your where you have the screen with all the different people on it,
Ooh.
in the upper right hand corner, there should be a little message bubble looking thing that is the chat for the video.
Got it. All right, I put the link in there for you, Jose. It outlines very clearly how people can become a local Bloom. One second, I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Nice. I'm checking it out now through this Bulik screen.
Cool. Yeah, so I am, in case anyone's not familiar yet, Bloom is a global network. We're both a on-the-ground network and an online social network. So the local hubs are they're most of the time they're coalitions of multiple projects in a region, although people with an individual project can join. It just usually the progresses so that they end up developing connections with other projects and land places in a region. Most commonly, they work on food security. So they're building local markets for more people to be growing more local food in ecology restoring ways like agroforestry. We're starting to connect with more indigenous led projects. So they're also protecting their lands from mining and deforestation and other capitalist uses that degrade the land and displace indigenous peoples. So we've been really happy about that. That's one of the big reasons that we made Bloom Network. Because our people are coming from a place of having worked with plant medicines and having deep experiences of connecting to the land where we live and wanting to restore the ecological balance there. And so also local
I love
blooms are
it.
working on like watershed restoration. Sorry, was there a question there?
I just say that I love it. It resonates. It do resonates with the project I'm connecting. So I'm definitely going to send that information, and I'm just happy. Sorry, go on.
Happiness resonated. And then so online, so we started as an online social network actually, like way back in 2008, and then the local blooms formed out of that, and that was an interesting story of kind of corporate hierarchy structure. And we really needed a peer-to-peer leadership structure, so we eventually seceded from that company. But it just took us many, many years to find enough money to build the social network again. And so thanks to Gitcoin and Giveth and probably a lot of support from the metagame folks, we've been able to do that now. So the online network has, for now, it has like regular database profiles. We want to integrate with MyMeta as soon as we get all the Web3 infrastructure plugged in and have the capacity to do that. So there's profiles, people can post blogs, there's local media feeds. So the whole network is oriented around essentially like bouncing you off your screen as soon as possible and into the real world to do stuff with your neighbors. Find something inspiring on the website to do, if that's, in your house or your backyard, or, setting up a compost thing with your neighbors, or, some projects are full bioregional scale multi-project restoration kind of things. And a lot of people work on economic sovereignty. So one of the functions of our website, it also serves as a distribution network. We have a small prototype of that up now. If you look at community offerings, I think it's linked in the footer. You'll be able to purchase products that are produced by local blooms. So you have like an in-network regenerative products and services kind of thing. So the progress update of where we're at right now, we have, I think, about 28, 29 now local bloom hubs in 12 different countries. And like I said, we've been, organizing in an organic way since 2008. So those are really deep relationships and represent a lot of connectivity with different local projects and knowledge on the ground in many different areas. And so the website is kind of like a knowledge and peer sharing hub. I think it has some similar functionality as Metagame, and hopefully we can over time like kind of wire our platforms together so people can go back and forth between Web 2 and Web 3. But where we're at right now is we just finished our smart contracts for our impact bounties. So it's like an open retroactive public goods funding approach that's kind of like always on. So I'm in the connecting. So I've become our web developer because we haven't had enough money to sustain like a I guess at this point I'm a professional developer, but I'm not getting paid. But I've learned how to code enough that I'm now working on plugging in wallets using account abstraction because our people are like farmers in the field, and we don't feel like we're going to be able to get away with asking them to install Brave. We need to make it like as easy as possible for them to report their impact on the website. And then, as possible, we'll progressively onboard people to using a Web3 wallet directly. We've been developing a training for that with a professional technology trainer who's one of our co-founders. And so, yeah, plugging in the wallet and then hooking in those smart contracts to our reporting form. So essentially, people, they can post an action. It's a type of post they can make. It's like an action log. So, our community spent 3 days this weekend. 20 of us participated in building an agroforestry project. So we planted the trees and different plants, and we learned and celebrated. And, this many people participated, this many hours total. And these are the impacts that it had. And so that's designed to be like community driven. So different than like carbon credits and these formal things that are top down. They cost like 50 grand. You have to fly like a professional validator out from some other country and burn a bunch of carbon to like assess your project. We're like, no, that is not happening. Our communities know what works to repair their local climates and the like local market conditions that are usually like a really important part of successfully and permanently doing that. So it's like wide open. They can say their impacts are like, I got to know my neighbor, or, I spent some time outside instead of a computer, or over time, progressively, like we're using this urban forest methodology. Here's our measurements of soil carbon. Here's our predictions. Here's our actual data update. So people can just plug that in. It's like a more user-friendly version of HyperSearch a little bit. And I'm also talking with a HyperSearch dev to directly wire it to HyperSearch so it can automatically push our impact form up into a HyperSearch so we can interoperate with that system. Anyway, and so then what happens is we'll assign a local verifier. So someone who's part of that community. These are small enough scale that people have like real relationships with each other. So they can be like, yeah, that happened. Oh, you guys actually made a mistake here. That's kind of big. Can you please correct that and resubmit it? or like, who the fuck is this? No, this is spam. This is not getting approved. And once it's approved, then they'll automatically be issued our, it's called a cooperative patronage token. It's essentially a reputation token. I think it's probably, we use it similar to how seeds is used in metagame. So at first, we're just going to do it hourly because the labor that's happening across our network is, for the most part, completely unfinanced and voluntary right now. And that really needs to change. And more people and more foundations and stuff need to be able to see and fund this stuff. So we're just going to do it by hour. So people will get 30 flow as long as they're a member of Bloom and they're like in our network and have a wallet connected and stuff. They'll receive 30 flow, stands for flowers. It's just like FLO. And so that'll automatically be dropped into their wallet. And so what usually happens with a community currency like that is like the value drops to zero pretty quickly for like normal, like it's the same dynamics as happen with like tokens if you don't really carefully design it. So what we're doing is putting in the loop of that at the end of the year, people will get a distribution of the total grants pool as we're able to build more grants pool through like Gitcoin and Giveth and like philanthropic, nonprofit, like fiat currency pathways. We'll have a grants pool. And then also the co-op is like a social network and it has like revenue streams that we're slowly working on propping up. So as that becomes profitable, people will be able to receive dividends as well. So say, we made like $10 million this year. That gets distributed to people proportional to the work they did on the ground to build regenerative situations in their communities, whether that's restorative justice or food system work or building local economic structures. It's kind of, the communities define that. They'll get a distribution to the individual and also to the their local Bloom treasury will get like a 1.2x multiplier so that we incentivize them to pool money into a treasury and learn how to self-manage that. So that's like the infrastructure we're plugging in right now that we have the smart contracts done. So that's like the next phase of our build. And then just building more of a community team. Like I'm kind of the only ops person aside from some professionals helping on media. So we're trying to build more of a team around the business development side. So it's not just me. So we have some help thinking through that and grant writing and reaching out to things. And then also on development, like trying to find more developers who are willing to give us a little bit of their time, pick up a bounty here and there, or, consistently on a weekly basis, give us a little bit of, even if that's just like peer programming support for me, because I'm still kind of new. I'm like a second, third year dev. So I kind of like bump up against my ceiling of my skill set like pretty often. So yeah, that's pretty much a summary. Happy to like answer questions about like integrating with metagame or questions you guys have about the local blooms. But that's it from me.
Oh, thank you. No, I think that you give a complete background of the project, the roots, the values, and the intentions they have to support regenerative places and live from the abundance of what we can do by holding the vibe. So I think I have a lot of like personal questions as I'm arriving from that journey and I saw the land and I want to connect my local community with the tools I have been learning. And there's the barrier of the language too. So I would love to digest this information the most as possible in order to make them feel confident about trying these new tools. So I will check the page, and I'm resonating with the idea of reconnecting with ancestral communities and their wisdom, and offering these places to have a series of milestones locally to impact the community and the land in a positive way. Um, Definitely inspired by these new possibilities we have to do. um I don't know, I will ask another personal question, like there's a way for music to connect with Bloom network in order to have some dynamism between music and region.
Yeah. Next year we've been planning this forever, and finally we're gonna start it next year. But we want to do an open mic night online where it's like, yeah, we're all doing worky stuff, but we're also all artists and musicians and want to nurture and inspire each other and hold each other through this work that's like really hard often. So yeah, we'll do it at least once a quarter. Ideally, I'd love to do it once a month. We'll do it, I think, on a Sunday night or a Wednesday night, kind of roughly Eastern, North South America time. Um, and yeah, just be an open mic so people can come share songs or poems, and we might have a theme each time.
I had a quick technical
Beautiful.
question.
Go for it.
Who are you using for your bundler for the account abstraction?
Privy is the only one I think that I'm able to figure out, and that also we use Svelte and SvelteKit, so it needs
Okay,
to be
cool.
a JavaScript SDK.
Okay, no, it's just we used Biconomy and then their bundler stopped working. Like
Oh
we have a
shit.
gasless. We're trying to do gasless minting for the onboarding NFT, and it was working, and then like 3 days after it was working, it just stopped. And we're getting a HTTP error from the bundler, and I'm looking for what to switch for. Privy Privy.
Yeah, let me put the link in the chat, privy.io. The other thing we were looking at and was recommended to us, I think the documentation is just too like senior dev for me, is Safe's account abstraction toolkit.
Like Gnosis Safe.
Yeah.
They've got one. I didn't know that. I've seen Alchemy has one. That was the only other one that I had seen.
Yeah, let me get the link for you. Yeah, they have like a whole protocol around it.
Cool. As you found Svelte easy to work with?
Yeah, it's been really easy for me to learn with it because it's so concise. Like once in a while I have to consult because it's still kind of new, and nowadays the documentation is better, or like tutorials, but sometimes I have to look at React tutorials to learn how to do something, and I
No,
can
it's
kind of
crazy. Are
transfer it
you?
over.
Do you have experience with React?
No, not at all. But it's
Okay.
more common that like tutorials are written in
Oh,
React.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the conciseness has made it really possible for me to dive in because I was pretty familiar with like front end styling. But this past year is the first, or I started in 22, late 2022, I started digging like farther into the stack. So Svelte has been like really user friendly for me to start learning on.
Okay. Yeah. I've been doing React for, well, really since I started with metagames, so it's been going on, I guess, 2 or 3 years now. But um, I just tried to do a Svelte app, and I get it, and it seems really cool, but my application was too complicated for me to figure out how to do it easily in Svelte.
Interesting. Yeah. The documentation is.
I like the tutorial. Like I've been enjoying very much going through the ability to put in the code and it tell me when it's right and whatever. I That's a neat way to learn.
Yeah, I think I've struggled a little bit with that with Svelte too. Like their image handling, for example, like in React, you can just do all the responsiveness and so forth with,
Yeah.
it's like canned, and Svelte does not and will not have that. Like you have to use Cloudinary or something like that. So that's a big task on my plate to learn how to do soon.
We're using Web3.storage for ours. Have you heard of IPFS?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we store profile pictures, and that's where we stick them. And they've got a
Oh, thank you.
JavaScript API that's fairly straightforward.
Thank you.
But that is by Web3.storage is a Protocol Labs. And there's actually, if you're
Mm.
doing NFT storage, there's NFT.storage, and you get a terabyte of storage for free, and it'll persist for pretty much forever. There is a peer-to-peer, or not a peer, a blockchain network called the Filecoin Virtual Machine (FVM), but it
Yep.
is used. Have you heard of FVM before? Are you familiar with it at
but
all?
yeah, but pretty much only in name.
Okay, well, it is. I mean, they have currently, I think, 24 exabytes, which is, I think it goes megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte, exabyte, and they've got 24 of exabytes. So it's enough storage to store essentially, definitely every written work ever. And
Cool.
um, the Web3 storage and NFT.storage both have they persist the data to the IPFS network, but they also do long term storage in this Filecoin virtual machine.
Thank
And
you.
so your data should be saved for pretty much forever.
I have I have another question. We have 3 minutes. We can extend for a quick minute later. I think it will be. What I understand is that Bloom Network opens you to have like a posting space where you can share your progress. My question is that progress has to be live, or you can gather the content and upload it uh, later. I ask this because where I was, they had months without electricity. So, we can take there like some batteries and have some content sharing some of the progress, but we will not able to share it live. Um, so my question is like in that scenario, how does the post work? Does it need to be live, or do we have a window?
Oh yeah, we I think we may at some point set a window like not reporting further back than like 3 months or a year, but it would not be less than 3 months. And
Okay.
especially because this is going to be common for us encountering this where communities are like very offline. So we could even like make an exception for those kinds of cases because it's going to be so common. So yeah, it doesn't need to be live.
Okay, okay. With good communication, things can be shared. That's great to know. Um, okay. Well, I think for now, all my questions are made. Welcome, Sashi. Just arrived. Um, I happy to have you today here. I think I will reach out to you later if I have more questions because this topic is of interest to me. Um, I don't know if you have any last thoughts or anything you want to share with us before giving the space to our next guest.
Just thanks for having me on. It's really nice to reconnect with you guys and really cool to reconnect now that I'm more of a developer. Because yeah, we're still really slow at being able to integrate with metagame, but it's gonna be really fun when we're able to, and I appreciate this more of a start to that conversation here.
Yeah, mutual sentiment. I know. Come by any Monday you want to Bart's night if you want to hear some live tunes as well. I will reach out to you to see how is going to go the music on Bloom